Andrew Schulz is one of those bro comedian podcasters everyone's talking about who, used to be liberal or used to vote for Democrats and now has been red pilled and is voting for Republicans. Well, he offered possibly the stupidest argument for a transition to MAGA that I've ever heard on a podcast earlier this week. And so I want to play that for you.
In this video, Tim Miller, some crazy left-wing commentator, gets upset at Andrew Schulz over a joke. If you watch this channel at all, you'll notice that Tim Miller is the third progressive douche to get worked up over this benign joke. With that, let's see Andrew Schulz expose yet another leftist, Tim Miller, as a Democrat moron with no sense of humor.
Hey guys, Tim Miller from The Bulwark. Andrew Schulz is one of those bro comedian podcasters everyone's talking about who, used to be liberal or used to vote for Democrats and now has been red pilled and is voting for Republicans. Well, he offered possibly the stupidest argument for a transition to MAGA that I've ever heard on a podcast earlier this week. And so I want to play that for you and respond to it on the other side.
The sides switched so much. When I was younger, like, Democrats were cool. They were getting their dick sucked in the office. They were like, right? They were like supportive of like hip hop music. They said, do whatever you want. Like, we don't want to be in your bedroom. They were cool with gay people. Like, it was cool to be a Democrat. Now, conservatives got 3 baby mamas. The president got 3 baby mamas. He's getting pussy left and right. Right? He's cool. He's the one saying, say whatever the fuck you want. So now conservatives have become Democrats. So I don't think I've changed. I just like the dudes that get pussy and say whatever they want. So it's you want me to be a Democrat again? Get some pussy. Tell me to say whatever I want. I'm there.
First off, you're a child, okay? Like, you're a child at age 41. You are determining who you want to be president and make policy for the country based on who you think gets the most pussy. Like, really? Are you a teenage boy? I know you have a kid, Andrew. Like, are you going to decide what school they go to based on which principal seems like he's the biggest pussy hound? Like, do you have any responsibility or accountability in your life? Anyway, rather than lecture you, I don't want to be one of those woke libs that lecture you. Rather than lecture Andrew, I want to actually respond to the merits of his arguments, which are also totally wrong. Okay, it's a childish argument, but it's also a wrong argument. And maybe it's supposed to be funny. It's a little funny, but it's not true. And I think that's the most important thing. Here's Andrew saying that he just likes the dudes that get pussy and say whatever they want. He wants politicians that will let people say whatever they want. He argues.
As I've unfortunately had to listen to these progressive and leftist commentators, recently I hear a lot of them describing anyone that's, I don't know, similar to Joe Rogan or a comedian that's, right of center at all. They call them like bro comedians or the bro community. I never really knew what it means, but only thing because I say bro about 500 times a day. Maybe it makes me sound dumb, but only interpretation that I can determine what bro comedian means is masculine. And I mean this without any levity. The left lacks testosterone so much that I really think it's confusing to them to just see guys be guys and masculine. I think it's confusing to them. Or maybe there's some jealousy involved because they're so feminine. I don't know. And do you hear he's one of these guys who used to be Democrat, but now he's on the right. And he acts like all of the many, many people that have woken up over the last handful of years of how stupid and dysfunctional the left is, that have moved over the Republican Party or become more conservative, they think they're all idiots. It's never the party or their ideology. He's just as bad as any establishment media person. There's zero introspection. It's a trend. It's rare. I rarely see someone leave the right to go to the left, and there's a reason for that. Even the politicians that are Republicans, like rhinos, never Trumpers that we can't stand, even as much as they despise Donald Trump, they don't even go to the left. So he just wants to talk about what he calls bro comedians instead of saying, why do so many people leave our party? Anyway, let's get back to it.
What you mean when you say, I want to let people say whatever they want, is I want to be able to say pussy and retard and do racial slurs without having anybody nag me about it. I'm not going to nag you, bro. Go ham. Go ham. Make whatever jokes you want. Say whatever words you want. You just really love saying pussy over and over again. Go ahead and say it. You want to call me a gay slur? Do it. Make them up with a funny joke. Call me a poofter. Whatever. I don't care. Okay. But like, if that is what you mean by Donald Trump will let you say whatever you want, then yeah, like Donald Trump doesn't care if you do racist jokes on your podcast. All right. And MAGA supporters probably aren't going to tweet about how you offended them or hurt their feelings. Okay. And I mean, unless you go after Christians or, unless you call them stupid mouth breathers or, unless you make some other kind of joke, call them deplorables. If you call them deplorables, they might get kind of upset. All right. But yeah, they're not going to get mad at you if you do a racial slur. So go ham. But here's the thing. Free speech in this country is about more than podcasters being able to do racist jokes. Okay. It also means that people need to be able to speak out about their political opinions without fear of reprisal from the government. And right now, the biggest threat to free speech in this country is the president of the United States specifically targeting political foes and telling his Department of Justice to target them.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Because of their political views or sending migrants who came here because they wanted to have free speech rights, who fled Venezuela, who fled communist Venezuela to come to the land of milk and honey. And now we're sending them to a hole in a foreign country because we don't think their tattoos look right. Like, those are the real threats to free speech rights. Andrew Schulz, your free speech rights were never in threat under Joe Biden. You were never in danger of going to jail or whatever. You were in danger of some annoying people nagging you on social media. And that's annoying. I get it. Fine. But if this is your red line, if this is the reason you've been red-pilled, that you think everybody should be able to say what they want without any concerns, then I would think that in addition to your concerns about being nagged, you would also have concerns, or even greater concerns, really, about the people who were shackled and sent on a plane to another country and had their head shaved and were slapped and are now in a hole for 23 hours a day with no access to a lawyer or their family. I wonder, Andrew Schulz, if you think that is a threat to free speech rights. So look, if you're telling me you're going to vote for whoever gets the most pussy, okay. I mean, Donald Trump used to do pretty good with women, it seems like. The rest of are you a Republican now, though? I mean, J.D. Vance doesn't really seem like he's banging people out. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, he monitors his own son's porn. I'd be a little concerned about Mike Johnson taking over the party if I were you, Andrew Schulz. I don't know if you want.
This guy just suggested that Mike Johnson monitoring his child from not watching porn. The way he said that was like it's a bad thing. I guarantee this guy has no problem with anyone watching porn and thinks there's no problem with it, when it's like one of the worst afflictions, tools that's degrading our society rapidly, ruining people's interpersonal relationships, ruining people's relationships with sex, because anything goes on the left. And again, he's just like every other Democrat. He turned this whole thing into criminal immigrant gang members that beat their wives and are suspected of sex trafficking. He's worried about those people not having a voice. What a great guy you are, Tim. I'm going to continue to advocate for the American people, the people that live here, the immigrants that came here the right way, the people that just want to live their lives and take care of their families. I am all about due process and following the law. But my fellow countrymen come first before anyone. How the hell could you just bring up some douchebag gang member? You are so desperate for a narrative. And he says, look at Donald Trump. People now have to worry about their freedom of speech for fear of reprisal from the government. That does sound familiar. Where do I remember that from? Oh, Biden's DOJ? Do you remember that? Do you remember all the lawfare they participated in? They went after their number one political opponent with every single thing that they had because you're cowards. You are afraid of him. And you know you have nothing to offer in your garbage party. Let's wrap up the video.
I want the Speaker of the House monitoring the type of material you're Googling on Pornhub. John Thune, the Republican Senate leader, you probably never even heard of him because you have no serious thoughts about politics, but go ahead and Google that guy. I don't think that's a fella that's, slaying. All right. So like this whole thing is just ridiculous. I mean, let me just break it down. Let me just tell you something. There are a lot of Democrats that get laid. There are Republicans that get laid. There are Republicans that are annoying Christian scolds. There are Democrats that are kind of annoying woke scolds, right? Like, this is not a reason to make somebody the leader of the free world. What happens when you make a moron the leader of the free world because you liked the fact that in the 80s he got herpes because he was, banging out so many models.
You're right, Tim. The whole thing is ridiculous. I seriously agree. It's ridiculous that you even made a video about this, you loser. You're whining about a joke because just like every other Democrat, you have no sense of humor, you're emotional, and you're, to use Andrew's words, a pussy. But we want to hear from you. Am I missing something? Is this guy making some great points? Or is he a moron with nothing else to talk about, so he's got to whine about a comedian joking around? This idiot's really taking this seriously. Like, that's why he voted for Trump. What a freaking dumbass. But let me know if I'm wrong. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next one.